Patty can't get hers. Okay, so we're going to start the Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, January 8th. And first item on the agenda is call to order. Carol, would you please do the roll call?
Present.
Here.
Here. Motion second, everybody in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items which are not on our agenda. Any member of the public like to come forward? This is your opportunity to address the commission on any item you choose, which is not currently on the agenda. Not seeing any activity. We'll go ahead and close the public comments section and move on to the regular calendar. First item on the regular calendar is approval of planning commission meetings, planning commission minutes from November 13th and December 11th. So if there's no changes to those minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes for November 13th and December 11th.
I will so motion.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second to approve those minutes. Everybody in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is, which is the main body of the agenda, number 2. Consideration of City of Kingsburg General Plan Update and General Plan Amendment. And we have a staff report from our Development Director, Holly Owen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and Planning Commission and members of the public. Holly Owen, Community Development Director.
Well, wait a minute, Holly, 1 second. Out of order. We got to open the public meeting. So let me public hearing. Let me open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open. Now we can entertain the presentation from Community Development Director Holly Owen.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Heard the previous information. This general plan update process is a culmination of several years' effort. Well, actually, a lot of years. It really started about 15 years ago when we were looking for funding and support. Some of this I even recall from when I was here in 2014, 2015. But we finally pulled all that together with support from council and some funding. And then we identified a team of consultants to assist us with this in late 2023. Sarah Allender from Provo and Pritchard is here tonight to make a presentation about the process and hopefully move us forward. So as we all probably know by now, general plans are required by state law. They have to contain specific chapters or elements for future growth and covering key areas such as land use, circulation, housing, conservation, open space, noise, and safety. And there's also one called environmental justice that's new to the requirements. And we have a special element in the Central Valley area for air quality. Jurisdictions are given the discretion to combine topic chapters. They can add other topic chapters or elements that are not identified. For instance, some cities have design element, design guidelines, I guess it would be, for an element. We're the ones you see are the ones that we are currently considering. have included in our general plan update. We started this process in particular in the summer of 2024 to meet the new state legislative requirements. There were a couple of chapters that are now required, health and safety updates, environmental justice, as I mentioned before, and other state mandated planning topics. The last update to our general plan was in 1994. So that was 30 years ago. That's an incredibly old general plan. Probably not the oldest in the state, but maybe pretty close to that. So it was really a high time that we took a look at it, took a look at policies that are contained in the general plan and programs. And it ideally, a general plan would confirm the community's vision for the future and creates also a more user-friendly planning document. I think if you look at general plans from days gone by, you will not only see it done on typewriters, but you will see very few graphics involved, and we are a more visual society now. So I think that people look to that as being more accessible and user-friendly too. So that is what we have come up with. We did the required outreach. City staff did outreach at the Swedish Festival starting in May 2024. And we had a joint planning commission city council workshop on August 8th of 2024. And then we had another joint workshop on October of 2024 to discuss the legislative review, and that outlined necessary updates to the general plan based on legislative requirements passed since the original adoption. We also hosted a booth at the Kingsburg Car Show on April 19th, 2025. Actually, that was the consultants who ran that particular event. They received some public input and got some input on the community vision for Kingsburg, and identified some planning principles that guided the policy development portion of the update process. This also was shared on a joint workshop on May 22nd, 2025. So we have, we have done quite a bit of local outreach. I think there's been also some social media outreach. So we've tried to make sure that anybody who was curious about the process and about the document had a chance to get some questions answered, and to just we were there to receive input too. The public review draft general plan was released on November 4th of 2025. There's a time specific that the draft needs to be circulated, and the noticing was in December 11th in the Kingsburg Carrier. That was also when the Planning Commission hearing was scheduled to review this. We didn't have a quorum, so we are now here tonight to continue this process. No comments were received by the end of the review period or to date. So there are no land use designation changes proposed in this update. It concentrates mainly on the reorganization of the document, policy updates, and inclusion of a vision statement and guiding principles based on community feedback. That means, therefore, that the amendments proposed to the general plan do not represent the potential to significantly impact the environment, and therefore it's exempt from environmental analysis pursuant to SEQA. At this point, we have a PowerPoint that the consultant representative would wish to share with us. And we have a recommended action by the Planning Commission after that, which would be to consider the resolution 2025-07. Oh, was it 2026-01? Update myself, sorry. We're in a new year. So I'm sorry, I'm reading from my old staff report, but that's what it is. So Thank you. And if you have any questions for me in particular, I'm happy to answer them. But I'm here to introduce Sarah. She's been she can share with you a little bit of her experience with general plan updates, and then what we have found for Kingsburg.
Great. Thank you, Holly. Good to see you, Commission. Good to be back. Holly actually covered quite a lot that is in PowerPoint, so I will run through the front end of the PowerPoint pretty quickly. So I'm not just repeating information, but I will take a pause because I do want to walk through each element and just highlight what the new information was. So as Holly mentioned, we did start this process with a focus on bringing the city of Kingsburg into compliance with some of the recent state legislative requirements that she mentioned. We did want to take the opportunity to confirm the community vision. Kingsburg generally has a strong sense of self and sense of community, but it was worth asking the question as part of this process, just to make sure that there were not any shifts in that vision. So part of the outreach process was to focus on getting feedback from the community on what they saw Kingsburg as being now and in the future. We also certainly wanted to increase the functionality of the general plan. If you guys have looked at it, it is, I believe, a typewritten document. And it currently combines the environmental analysis into all the policy work, so it can make it difficult to navigate. So from a user-friendly perspective, it is not currently. So that was one of the goals of this update. Holly mentioned most of these. We've held 3 public workshops. In addition, we also had a couple of the more specific outreach events like the Swedish Festival and Car Show, events where we asked for feedback. We did start this process early 2024, and we are on track to take this to council with your recommendation in early 26. She also mentioned the public review period and noted that no comments have been received to date. So the changes that actually got made to the document, the bigger organizational changes is that we've taken the existing general plan and we've broken it down into smaller chapters that will generally make it easier to find information that you're looking for. Before it was a little difficult if you're looking for, let's say, noise policies. It was not very intuitive as to where those might be located in the existing general plan. So one of the changes is we now have some more focused chapters or elements, which should make the document easier to navigate for those who need to use it. We also removed all of that technical environmental analysis from the document. That lives on. It doesn't mean that it goes away by any means. It's just going to be contained in a different document. So if all you really want to know about is the policies of the general plan, then all you need to go through are the policies of the general plan document itself. We also took the opportunity to create a little bit more predictability and structure in the document itself. General plans will generally have a goal, a series of policies that will support that goal, and then often these days, best practices to have action items that will help direct city staff and the city decision makers on how you're actually going to implement the general plan. So your document now, as proposed, has very clear goals, policies, and action items. We also updated the document and map design. As Holly mentioned, the old document was a series of black and white photocopied maps. It made it very difficult to read. So as part of this effort, we also took that information and we digitized it in GIS. So the city now has an online mapping resource available to them to navigate to particular parcels. Holly also mentioned that part of this update was to confirm the community vision. So we drafted a vision statement. It's included in the document. And then we also developed a series of guiding principles to go along with the vision statement. The guiding principles just dig one step deeper from the vision statement, which can be a fairly general statement shown here. So the vision statement is a fairly broad statement, and then we have 5 guiding principles that sort of tackle one aspect of Kingsburg. The benefit of the guiding principles is it helped direct the goal and policy development in the general plan. So into the actual policy elements, the first one, the big one, is the land use element. That's what most people think of when they think of the general plan. As Holly mentioned, we did not make any changes to land use designations as part of this effort. So any property that was designated a certain land use before or currently will remain that same land use designation after adoption of this general plan. We also did not change any of the boundaries. So the city currently has a sphere of influence amendment boundary that is not changing as part of this effort. What did change in the land use element is we added policies or updated policies. We filled in the gaps based on best practice. So we have some policies related to land use planning procedures. We usually like to integrate action items about searching for funding to support city actions. We also provided for a little bit more clarity and flexibility in how projects can implement things like land use density, and then also added in some fairly standard language relative to historic and cultural resources, which is, again, also best practice. The land use element now also contains your growth management policies. Those have been retained, so those are still in your document. We've also kept most of the policies related to different land use designations. So any policies related to what do residential projects look like, what do commercial, industrial projects look like, those have all been retained. For the circulation element, we did update some street design specifications and added some policies or revised policies related to things like level of service. That's how your streets are functioning. How quickly can you move through the streets? We also confirmed truck routes and goods movements policies and also added some language about coordinating with some of your regional transportation agencies like Fresno COG. We did coordinate with the city engineer and public works staff as we were reviewing the policies in this chapter, so they are reflective of what Kingsburg's best practices are currently. Resource management is another element. This is one of those elements that responds directly to one of the new legislative requirements, which is the climate adaptation requirement under Senate Bill 379. So much of the policy assessment that, I don't know if anybody would remember it because it was a riveting read, I'm sure. It was late last year, but that went through an analysis of what was required under that bill and made some policy recommendations for your general plan. This is the element that contains those policy recommendations. But it generally includes policies related to things like public facilities, your utilities, community services, libraries, schools, things like that. We also have some groundwater management coordination policies because one of the big pieces of legislation that came online that's not necessarily limited to general plans is the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. That's a new thing, so that those policies related to groundwater management coordination are in direct response to that new piece of legislation. For the safety element, this one also responds to the legislative requirements under SB 379. But a lot of the element here really reflects what was required under the county's multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan. That's always a mouthful. It's a document that City of Kingsburg already participates in. We just took the policy recommendations from that document and formalized them in your own general plan. We wanted to make that link. And then we also added some policies relative to things like water quality, flooding risk, which is another state legislative requirement. And then also, again, we have those coordination policies with other agencies. For community health, this is a new element. This one is responding directly to Senate Bill 1000, which is the Planning for Healthy Communities Act, which is the actual name, even though most of us refer to it as the Environmental Justice Bill. But this element responds to the legislative requirements specific to that bill. It includes the policies related to things like air quality, how do people access things like healthcare facilities, parks, and then also provides some policy language on civic engagement opportunities, just how do you hold meetings, can people access them, and encourages their participation. So the final chapter in the general plan, it's not a policy element, but it's an important one. It's the implementation chapter. This chapter really just lifts out all of the action items that are included throughout the document and puts them in one place. So it becomes a resource for city staff, for the public, for development community, for decision makers to understand, okay, great, we have this new general plan. How are we going to put this thing into action? So this chapter lifts out all of the action items and they're organized into certain categories just to help facilitate implementation. It also provides for a framework for monitoring progress. Every year, Holly is required to fill out a general plan progress report. And so this can become a tool for her to report both to decision makers and to the state as required, what kind of progress is City of Kingsburg making towards implementing their general plan? And that is a new chapter as well to your general plan. So that is a quick overview of the changes that have been implemented and proposed as part of this general plan update. Holly already mentioned the staff recommendation, but want to include that up on the board. We are recommending that Planning Commission recommend approval to City Council to take action on. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you. So we'll move on to the next section of this item, which is commission discussion. Well, if the commission members have any questions or discussion about the presentation.
This sounds like you've kind of put things in compartments in regards to making it easier to access if someone was to come in and want to develop, or someone had questions in regards to growth and so forth. It's going to be a little bit easier access. Sounds like you guys have kind of clarified it and designated specific regions. So I like that, you know, because there's been a lot of concern with the planning commission meetings we've had where people are not sure where they stand and so forth. And the way this thing is formatted, it sounds like folks have kind of dissected it and put it in a specific, you know, you're looking at the overview, but you can go in and see specific regions of growth and what it takes to do that. So that I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. That was one of the goals. And, you know, Holly probably has much more experience having to navigate the thing than we do. So
I think the benefit and sort of the challenge will be too is that there's just so much more reporting that we're required to do by the state and annually, and so this will at least lay out very clearly the kind of feedback that they're looking for and a format going forward. It's not always that clear in with our former general plan. And in fact, there were a number of years where we didn't actually file any reports. It wasn't as big of a requirement as it is now, however. So we're expected to do that, and this will be a useful tool for staff. And you will receive it as part of your consideration. So I get to turn in reports to you and council.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you educate me a little bit about, apparently there's a state law that allows cities to quarterly update or amend their general plan?
yes, there is a limit on how many times you can amend your general plan every year, and it is 4. That doesn't mean it's just 4 individual general plan amendments. If you batch them together, that is considered one amendment under that law. But yes, there is a limitation on how many times you can amend the general plan.
I think that's pretty useful. I don't remember Kingsburg doing that a lot. Holly, do you remember Kingsburg using that option much?
It would be done as part of an annexation, for instance, because you're adding, you're changing a designation,
Oh, okay.
a land use designation. And have we done, I don't know, can you think of any other examples of when you would do a general plan amendment besides
Well, I
that's the
think-
obvious?
I think this is actually your first amendment. It's technically, it was filed last year for the numbering. So you don't do it often, apparently. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what would trigger, besides the planning changes or zoning changes. Trying to figure out what else would trigger the need for amendments. Yeah,
The most common is when somebody requests to change a designation on their property. That's the most typical one.
I see the option of doing amendments 4 times a year as a way to update your general plan, so you don't have to do this huge, big update like we've done, and probably like most cities do. Every 10 years or 12 years we have to update?
There's no requirement to best practices to revisit every 10 years. That rarely happens. The only element that is required to be updated on a schedule is the housing element, and that's every 8 years.
Okay, well, that would probably happen in Kingsburg. I can see that triggering.
Yes, so the city did recently update their housing element, and so that would have been considered a general plan as well.
Okay, yeah, I look at it, I see this as a way to do incremental updates so that we don't have to do huge updates like this every 10 years. Page 123, is the general plan up there? Is- Page 123.
I don't know that it is up on the screen, is it? Oh,
Yeah, page 123.
well, that must be of the PDF.
Or 130. Either one. Yeah, I was looking at this and it had the floodplain for Pine Flat Dam. There was a picture of the floodplain for Pine Flat Dam. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like if the dam goes, the whole town's underwater.
So this looks like it's in one of the appendices. So this is from the legislative report, one of the earlier documents that was prepared, and it contains part of the analysis, the early analysis in response to Senate Bill 379. And one of the things we did look at was dam inundations is what I'm guessing you're referring to, if it's related to the Pine Flat Dam.
Floodplain, and there was a picture of it.
Yeah, that's usually related to just acknowledging, hey, if the dam breaks,
And so,
we're
my
in.
impression correct, the whole city will be underwater if the dam goes?
Yes, it's been a while since I've looked at that figure, but you are not alone.
Yes,
I mean,
it's not just
It's
Kingsburg.
it's a fairly common map that we see. So yes, if the dam breaks, the inundation area is rather large
Okay,
and would impact quite a few communities.
so it's time for me to get some flood insurance. All right.
Holly, did you say we were going to get a copy of the the new updated plan?
You may request one, yes, and we will provide that for you.
Oh, okay.
If you don't have one already, I think we have several hard copies, and so we can put one, we can make sure you get one.
Thanks.
And then I read something else in here. State law requires annual progress reports from general plan implementation. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, so that's the progress report referred to that Holly was also mentioning. It's due to the state by April 1st each year. So usually around this time, by the way, Holly, is when city staff will start the effort of saying, hey, here's the progress that we've made in implementing our current goals and policies for the general plan. There's no set format for that progress report. The only exception to that is for the housing element. Again, they treat those as different. There's a very specific format for doing a progress report. So any city will generally submit 2 separate progress reports to the state. One is for the housing element progress report, which is on a specific format that's required to go to the Department of Housing and Community Development. And the other progress report is for everything else in the general plan. And the format for those is really left to the discretion of the city.
What happens to those reports? They go to the state, they go to city council, or they post it on the website? Can the
Yeah, there's no action that's required to be taken on them. They're usually just shared as information items for planning commission and city council to acknowledge receipt. And then Holly will, in this case, submit those directly to the state. As I mentioned, the housing element APR or annual progress report gets submitted to HCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. The other general plan progress report gets submitted to, they have a new name.
I was going to say the old
It used to be
name.
the Office of Planning and Research, but they changed their name to Land Use and Climate.
Okay.
I don't remember. It's called Lucy Short.
It's just, you could say Sacramento, that's fine.
It would be very interesting to see that report. We,
Well, you will. You will have to.
Yeah, those will generally come to you in probably February, March timeframe, I'm guessing.
all right, very good. Anybody, any other question? Discussion, comments? Okay, so it's time to open the public comment section. Anybody, any member of the public can come forward now and make comments on we just discussed. I don't see anybody having an interest in taking that opportunity. So we will close the public comment section and back to continued commission discussion. If anybody, the commission has any other items to discuss or questions to ask. Not seeing anybody interested. We will close the public hearing. So we have to move on to the actions recommended. And it looks like if we adopt resolution 2026-01, that it will include finding the general plan update and general plan amendments 2025-02 is consistent with the city's general plan environmental report and its subsequent addendum dated April 2024 pursuant to CEQA guidelines. In addition, adopting this resolution would approve the city of Kingsburg general plan update and general plan amendment. Is that correct, Holly? If we adopt resolution 2026-01 with one motion, all those things are included?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, that's our next problem.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2026-01.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion or amendments? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion to adopt resolution 2026-01, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Hearing none. That motion is carried to adopt resolution 2026-01. All right. We'll move on to future agenda items. Polly, I'd like to ask a question. I don't know if you have the answer to this, but I'm curious to know if you were at the city council meeting when apparently there was a lively discussion about the item that the planning commission discussed with respect to the new developments. Were you at that?
Was it the allocation item, or was it the development by Joseph Crown?
Yeah, that one.
There were two items and they were the same items that came before you. And yes, it was a lively meeting.
There
And
was a large number of the public was there.
there were a number of people there, yes.
What was the outcome?
The outcome was that Joseph Crown Development was approved. And he is now grading, by the way. I think if you go out there and in that area, you'll see that there's some activity there. And that the allocations were not approved for the San Joaquin Valley Homes project. They
Okay,
have been instructed to do some further community outreach. So we'll see how that works out for them. They've scheduled some community meetings. So
all right,
how that goes.
thank you. I was just interested about that. All right, future agenda items. Anybody have any?
I think just the only one that I can think of that's on there is a reorganization that you may want to consider with your next meeting. That's all I know of that's coming up. We've alluded to some progress reports that you will see, but I may need a couple of weeks to get some of those under my belt. So that may be more along the lines of March. So
Okay,
I have a question. Maybe I'm ignorant. What are we reorganizing?
it would be the opportunity to select a new chair if you wish.
Oh, okay.
And it's internal organization, internal reorganization.
Just want to check.
all right. So, nothing else? So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the planning commission meeting.
I'm going to.
Motion in a second. Put a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.